get ready to rumble!
What up, y'all? It's Dat Boy back with another episode of Throwdown Thursday. We got pro football, we got college football, we got tons of football. Let's get to it. So sometimes I spend a lot longer on some parts than others. If you ever want to just fast forward to any part of the episode, there's timestamps down in the description. Let's go ahead and recap the NFL and adjust the power ranking. So we're going to start off with the Saints, who beat the Falcons last week. Taysom Hill finally shows why he's the starter over Jameis, throwing for 2 touchdown passes. Saints get the cover, so we're bumping them up a half point. And even with Drew Brees down, the Falcons can't get the win or the cover, so they're definitely going down a half point. The Lions rally in the fourth quarter to come back and take down the Bears. Lions get the upset. We're going to bump them up a full point. Bears get upset, so we're going to knock them down a full point. Browns come out and absolutely put it to the Titans, going up 38-7 in the first half. Maybe the Browns are not a fraud? Browns get the upset, moving up a full point. Titans get upset, so they're going to fall a full point. The Bengals kind of played tough without Joe Burrow at the beginning, but the Dolphins end up pulling away. Dolphins keep winning and keep covering, so they keep climbing, and the Bengals just keep sliding. Vikings barely escape the Jags getting a field goal in overtime. Vikings didn't come anywhere close to covering, so they get a half-point slide, and the Jags climbing up a half point. The Jets almost get their first win, and then absolutely blow it like you would expect them to, with the Raiders throwing a bomb as time running out to win the game. The Jets do get the cover, so we'll go ahead and knock them up a half point, and the Raiders are going to slide a half point. Colts are still rolling as they move past the Texans. Colts get the cover. We're going to knock them up a half point. Texans do not, so they're going to slide. The Rams move into a tie for the NFC West as they take down the Cards. Rams moving up a half point. Cards keep sliding. And in an absolute stunner, the Giants take down the Seahawks, holding Russell Wilson to 12 points. Look at this box score. They had 5 points in the first half. That's gross. Seahawks are still on the slide. Just can't get it together. Their offense was carrying them, even though their defense was bad. The Giants moving up a half point. Still fighting for the NFC East. Packers stomp the Eagles and send Carson Wentz to the bench. Packers moving up a half point. Eagles sliding down a half point. And oh man, I had my thumb over the button to bet the Pats, and I didn't do it, and they just come out and absolutely boat race the Chargers. The Chargers look like they're done on the season. I'm not taking this team for anything anymore. Pats are sliding back up. Chargers keep falling to the bottom. The Broncos actually had a quarterback in this game, but still not enough to get past Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Chiefs didn't get the cover, so we're going to have them slide. The Broncos did get the cover, so they're going to move up half a point. And then another absolute shocker from the NFC East, the Washington Football Club takes down the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Skins looking like the best team in the NFC East. So the Skins are going to move up a full point, and the Steelers had a chance to get past the Chiefs, but they lost. They're moving down. And Josh Allen keeps it rolling for the 9-3 Bills, taking down the 49ers. Bills get the cover. They're moving up a half point. 49ers did not. They're sliding down a half point. Ravens get another win over the helpless Cowboys. Ravens get the cover. They're moving up a half point. Cowboys slide down a half point to get tied with the Jets in the power ranking. That was only a matter of time. So here are the power rankings going into week 14. The Saints overtook the Steelers after the Saints kept covering with Brees out, but the Steelers just got upset. The Seahawks have been sliding down. The Raiders and Dolphins have been moving up while the Cards have been sliding down. The Browns, who are 9-3 right now, haven't moved too much. They've been winning games. They haven't been covering all the time, even though they did just smack the Titans. And nobody from the NFC East is above 0, so I can't wait to see whatever team makes it out of there. I'm putting my money on the Skins right now. All right, so last week in the NFL, I went 2-2. The Lions uphold the tradition of getting a big win after they get a coach fired. The Raiders couldn't put away the Jets until the very end. The Falcons are just hopeless. They can't even beat the Saints even when Brees isn't playing. And the Bills finally get a nice solid win for me when I got money on them. As the underdog too. Good job, Bills. But going 500 doesn't do me much as I'm still a game below 500. Let's look at these NFL lines for week 14. All right, so in the Thursday night game, we got the Rams hosting the Patriots. Offensively, the Patriots are 23rd in the league in scoring. Rams are 17th. Yards per play, Rams are 11th. Pats are 19th. Defensively, both these teams are pretty solid. Pats are 7th in total score. Rams are 5th in total score, and the Rams are number 1 in yards per play. Edelman is still out for the Pats. Cam Newton's probable. I guess he got banged up. Burkhead's still out. Not too many injuries with them. It's a +3, +1 for their injuries. I got the Rams at -5.5 and then -1 for being at home. My spread in the game is 10.5. Vegas opened up this game with Rams -6.5. Now it's down to -5. I think I might have the Pats a little bit low in my power rankings, but I don't know if I have them that low. I mean, at the end of the day, they don't have a great offense. They've had a good scoring defense, and that's typical with Bill Belichick teams, but they do give up a lot of yards. I think they do a good job of holding not great offenses to low points. They're not going to stop some of the top offenses in the league. I think in this particular matchup, they're really in trouble. I don't know what they're going to do with Aaron Donald. They already don't have a lot of weapons to begin with, and to bring in like an extra tight end or fullback to help block this dude just takes one other weapon away from your passing game. Rams are still fighting for that division, which is like the best division of football right now. They're not going to take the Pats lightly at all, and I just think they're a way better team who's playing really good football right now. Probably going to take the Rams this week. Next up, we got the Bears hosting the Texans. Texans have been slightly climbing the offensive rankings this year. They're 18th in total score now, and they're still 3rd in yards per play. They just can't really run the ball. Bears offense is atrocious. Defensively, it's kind of flipped though. The Texans don't play a whole lot of defense. Although the Bears have been a good defense throughout most of the year, they keep getting worse as the year progresses as well. Texans are missing a lot of players for the season. I don't know if those are all new injuries. I know the Fuller one isn't. I would say the Texans don't have a lot of key injuries, but I just don't know how many key players they have in the first place. Foles is questionable for Sunday. Khalil Mack's probable. All right, so we got the Texans at +1.5 and then +1 for their injuries. I got the Bears at +1, -1 for being at home, and then +2 for their injuries. My spread on the game is basically a pick 'em. I got the Texans by a half point. Vegas opened up with this game with the Bears as a 1.5 point dog. Now it's either +1 or even everywhere. Yeah, my numbers pretty much match on this game. I definitely think Chicago has a more overall talented team, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, other than Deshaun Watson, they just don't really have a whole lot. And as much as I think the Bears are a better team and they're at home, they just have been playing worse and worse football as the year has gone on. They finally scored 30 points last week and then just blow open the game and give up a fourth quarter lead. I'm leaning on the Bears in this one, but probably going to pass. These are both teams just to stay off of for the most part. Next up, we got the Jags hosting the Titans. Tennessee, 3rd in total score, 5th in yards per play. Jags, one of the worst offenses in the league. Defensively is where the Titans struggle, and the Jags. Clowney's on the IR. He's probably done for the year. Brown for the Titans is questionable. Messed up an ankle. They're missing a D tackle. Jags almost have 53 players on the IR. So I got the Titans at -4, +1 for their injuries. I got the Jags at +6.5, -1 for being on a bye, +3 for their injuries. My spread on the game are the Titans by 11.5. Vegas opened up with this game with the Titans as a 10-point favorite. Now it's down anywhere from 7.5 to 9. So the Titans just come off a really bad loss to the Browns, but they need to keep winning to stay in this playoff hunt, and they definitely have the offensive talent to blow out the Jags. The Jags are playing for nothing other than the highest possible draft pick they can. Their only real incentive in this game is to lose. While the Jags aren't quite as bad as the Jets, I think that with a team like Tennessee who's good, if this spread is under 10, just to take the Titans. Next up, we got the Panthers hosting the Broncos. Broncos are 31st total score, 26th in yards per play. Carolina's kind of somewhere in the middle. They're 21st in total score, but they're 9th in yards per play. Defensively, Denver really hasn't been doing that great either. Both teams are kind of middle of the pack. The Broncos, Bouyer's still suspended, and tons of other injuries they still have. McCaffrey upgraded to probable. So I got the Broncos slightly rated higher than the Panthers. I got the Broncos at +2.5. I got the Panthers at +3.5. And then with the home field advantage, basically makes this game a pick 'em for me. Vegas opened up this game with the Panthers at +1.5, and now it looks like it's moving to -4, but it hasn't changed everywhere in all books yet. I wonder if McCaffrey coming back, the reason why this number jumped from being under a field goal with the Panthers as an underdog, and now all of a sudden they're a favorite. I don't think McCaffrey is worth 4 or 5 points though. While I think McCaffrey is definitely one of the top tailbacks in the league, it's just the position of tailback. The next tailback underneath McCaffrey, while he might not be as dynamic from a production standpoint, he's not going to be that much of a drop-off, especially when it comes to points on the scoreboard. So part of me is inclined to actually take this Denver team, but there's nothing really that gets me excited about betting on this Denver team at all right now. If it comes down to Sunday and everybody's betting on the Panthers and that number keeps growing, then shoot, I'll take the Broncos, but other than that, probably going to stay off. Next up, we got the Buccaneers hosting the Vikings. Both teams are pretty solid on offense. Defensively, it's a different story. Vikes are one of the worst in the league, while the Buccaneers have been pretty stout for most of the year. Rudolph is questionable for the Vikings, so is Kendricks. A few other questionables. Godwin's questionable. McClendon's questionable. So I got the Vikes at 2.5. I got the Bucs at -5.5, and then -1 for being at home. So my spread on the game are Bucs -9. Vegas opened up this game with Tampa Bay -6. Now it's at -6.5. I'll definitely take Tom Brady getting less than a touchdown against this poopy defense of the Vikings. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Vikings are going to be dynamic. Dalvin Cook's absolutely a stud. Jefferson is definitely the best wide receiver rookie right now. He might be rookie of the year, period. And while those dudes are definitely going to get their yards, they're scoring up against a defense that's better than most. It's going to be able to hold them at times. I mean, both these teams are still in the hunt, so they're going to be motivated. I just think Tampa Bay is way more talented. We'll have to see how these questionable injuries play out before Sunday, but I'm going to take my money on Tom before it gets to 7. Next up, we got the Giants hosting the Cardinals. Fitzgerald is probable. Even though he had COVID, they're missing a safety for the Cardinals. Doesn't look like the Giants have any new injuries. Jones is still questionable. So we got the Cards at -1 and then +1 for their injuries. I got the Giants at +4.5 and then -1 for being at home. And then if Daniel Jones gets hurt, I'll probably knock them down another couple of points. But as of now, my spread on the game are Cards by 3.5. Vegas opened up this game with the Giants as a 1.5-point underdog, and it's pretty much stayed that way. So the Cards have definitely not been playing that well as of late. And the Giants have been playing better than expected as of late. Seems like the Giants have finally got something together, even though they're missing, Saquon Barkley. Although I definitely think that Arizona is a way better team than the Giants. And as long as Arizona doesn't have any major injuries, I don't see why they shouldn't beat them. I mean, this line's like almost a pick 'em right now. And to be honest, as long as Arizona is getting this number under a field goal, I'm going to take them. I think the Cards have burned me a couple times the last few weeks, but I just think they're better than the Giants. Like, they definitely have more talent. I don't know what the Giants have to match Hopkins and Murray. Next up, we got the Dolphins hosting the Chiefs. Chiefs, second in total score, first in yards per play. No surprise there. Dolphins, pretty middle of the pack when it comes to offense. Defensively, the Chiefs are 6th in total score somehow. The Dolphins are 2 in total score. Although the rest of the metrics for these teams looks like they're pretty mediocre defenses. Hill is questionable for the Chiefs. They got a few other players questionable. They're going to be missing a linebacker. Dolphins have plenty of players questionable. They're going to be out a defensive tackle. So I got the Chiefs at -7.5. I got the Dolphins at -1.5 and then -1 for being at home. My spread on the game is 5. Vegas opened up this game with Chiefs by a touchdown. Now it's Chiefs -7.5. Now listen, my numbers on this game tell me that I should probably lean on the Dolphins, but my brain and my heart tell me to never, ever, ever bet against Pat Mahomes. I was actually hoping I would get the bet on the Chiefs in this game because while Miami's definitely been playing well, they still have a whole lot of talent on their team and they're fraudulent. They're going to get beat by good teams eventually, especially when it comes down to playoff time. To give credit to the Dolphins, though, Mike Gesicki, their tight end, is a touchdown machine. And this defense has just been flat out making plays and stepping up when they need to. All that magic's eventually going to run out, though. I think I'm going to stay off this game. And in the battle for who wants the better draft pick, we got the Bengals hosting the Cowboys. We don't need to analyze this game. Both these teams are bad, and the Bengals are worse without having Burrow in there. I still like watching AJ Green, and I love watching the new dude T. Higgins, but obviously not the same team without Burrow. And the Cowboys have just been an absolute laughing stock all year. I'm not putting money on either of these teams. I might just take the under. Starting off the 4 o'clock games, we got the Seahawks hosting the Jets. Again, another game I don't need to analyze. Spread on this one's over 10 points, so I'm not going to take the Seahawks. And in the year 2020, definitely not taking the Jets. Hey, here's a good one. We got Vegas hosting the Colts. Colts, 10 in total score. Raiders, 11th in total score. Defensively is where it's different. Colts, 10th. Raiders, almost last. Rivers hurt his little piggy. He's going to be probable, though. Bunch of other players questionable. Raiders missing a tackle with the Cooties. Bunch of other players questionable. All right, so we got the Colts at -3.5, and then I got the Raiders at -1.5 and -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are the Colts by a point. Vegas opened this up with the Colts as a 2-point favorite. Now it's either a field goal or 2.5. Yeah, even though Phillip Rivers is a complete liability, the Colts have looked really solid the last few weeks. The Raiders have looked really good too. I mean, they didn't look great against the whole game against the Jets, but then of course they still come back and get the win like good teams do. I think a 3-point spread on this game, I don't know. I guess I should be leaning on Vegas, but I think that's actually about right. Even though I got Vegas a little bit higher in my power rankings, they just don't seem like they should be that high, even though they do keep closing out games. Probably gonna stay off this game, but this will be definitely a fun one to watch. Next up, we got the Lions hosting the Packers. Packers, number 1 in total score, 2 in yards per play. The Lions, they're 19th in total score, 15th in yards per play. Defensively, the Packers are kind of middle of the pack, and the Lions have one of the worst defenses in the league. Green Bay's still missing a center. Galladay is questionable for the Lions. Bunch of other players are questionable. So I got the Packers at -6, +1 for their injuries. I got the Lions at +2.5, +1.5 for their injuries, -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are the Pack by 8. This game opened up with the Packers as a 7.5-point favorite, and now it's gone anywhere from 7.5 to 9, depending on what book you're looking at. Yeah, so my numbers are pretty right on this one, and I don't know if I really want to bet on this game anyway. While it seems like the Packers should blow them out, the Lions already missing their coach. They're already done for the year, so it's going to be really easy for the Packers to take their foot off the gas, especially if they get an early lead. Stafford's always known to come back and make it a game, just like he did last week against the Bears. But I'm not going to put money on the Lions either. It's not like they're going to come out and be motivated for anything other than contract incentives. I mean, Green Bay right now is definitely thinking about trying to at least get the 1 seed, or at least home field advantage in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm going to stay off this one, and I don't know how much of it I'm going to watch either. I'm sure I'll catch a couple Aaron Rodgers highlights throwing bombs on this crappy Lions defense. Next up, we got the Niners hosting the Skins. All right, both these teams aren't that impressive on offense. The Niners are a little bit better. Defensively, though, both teams are pretty solid. Washington's 8th in total score, 4th in yards per play. And the Niners are 13th in total score and 10th in yards per play. Skins got plenty of players that are questionable. Garoppolo is still on the IR for the Niners. Still no Kittle. Deebo Samuel's questionable. All right, so I got the Skins at +5 and then +0.5 point for their injuries. I got the Niners at 0, +3 for their injuries, -1 for being at home. Both teams are coming off a short week, so I didn't factor that in. It's the same. My spread on the game are the Niners by 3.5. Vegas actually opened up this game with the Niners -14. I don't know if that's just a misprint on OddsShark, but now the game is down to about a field goal, depending on where you look. Yeah, my numbers on this game are pretty much about right. I'm almost inclined to take Washington. I think this is definitely the team on the rise. I think they are the best team in the NFC East right now with getting Alex Smith back. I think that was a huge pickup. I mean, the way these QBs are playing right now, I mean, Wentz just got benched. Dak Prescott is still trying to put his ankle back together. Like, there's just no other QBs in this division right now. Daniel Jones might be the next best guy, but I think he's been hurt, and it's not like he's anything special. Getting Alex Smith back, and it looks like the Skins probably have the best defense in that division right now. At least they've been playing that way. To me, they're definitely in the favorite in that division. And then the 49ers are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Who knows what you're going to get each week. They just beat the Rams 2 weeks ago, but then they get beat by 10 to the Bills. Yeah, everything about this game says stay off it, but I am interested to watch this one to see how it plays out. Next up, we got the Chargers hosting the Falcons. Falcons are 14th in total score, 20th in yards per play. I mean, Jesus, they have Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Todd Gurley, and there's still this mediocre offense. Chargers, they're 22nd in total score, 22nd in yards per play. Defensively, the Falcons are 17th in total score, but 31st in yards per play. And the Chargers defense isn't doing that great. Plenty of players questionable for the Falcons. Look like they're missing a D tackle to the Cooties. Chargers looks like they have the same injuries as before. All right, so I got the Falcons at +0.5 point and then plus another half for their injuries. I got the Chargers at +6, -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Falcons by 4. Vegas opened up this game with the Chargers as a 1-point favorite. Now it's 2.5. Yeah, technically I got a 1.5 edge with the Falcons according to my numbers, but that's not enough to bet on this Falcons team. Falcons have to be the most obnoxious team in the NFL. To have all this talent and to still put out mediocre production is pathetic. So in honor of the Atlanta Falcons, I'm wearing wearing my Atlanta Michael Vick jersey to the days where things were a lot more exciting down in Atlanta. Staying off this game. Probably won't even watch it. Just let me know which team blows it. Next up, we got the Eagles hosting the Saints. Saints 5 in total score on offense. Eagles, one of the worst in the league. Defensively, the Saints are 4th in total score, 2nd in yards per play. Yeah, your defense has to step up its game when Breeze goes out. Yeah, Breeze is still out. Plenty of other players still questionable. Peters looks like he's banged up for the Eagles. Alshon Jeffrey too. Darius Slay. And Jalen Hurts is named the starter. All right, so we got the Saints at -7.5. And I got them a +5 bump for losing Breeze. I did have him at +6 the last couple weeks, but Taysom Hill's been playing better, so I'll give Taysom Hill the extra point. Eagles at +2.5, and then +1 for their injuries, -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Saints by 5. Vegas opened up this game with the Saints as a touchdown favorite, and it's pretty much stayed that way, 6.5 in some places. The Eagles have to be the second most disappointing team this year. I mean, they have talent, they just can't get it done. I mean, Wentz got benched. I think the number I'm really interested in, what is the over-under when Wentz comes back in? I think it's great that the Eagles are giving Jalen Hurts a start, but Jalen Hurts can't throw. So it's only going to be a matter of time before Wentz comes back in. With how disappointed they might be in Wentz's performance, Jalen Hurts probably not going to be able to do much better. I like Jalen Hurts. I wish him well in his career, but at this moment in time, if anything, I should probably add points to the Eagles right now because taking Wentz out and putting Hurts in is definitely a deficit to them. With all that being said, my numbers are actually telling me to take the Eagles. Definitely not doing that. But one thing I will say about this, when Saints get Breeze back, they're going to be a problem. They're probably the best team in the NFC right now. And even though every year they look hot and end up blowing it in the playoffs, I mean, this team looks good right now. And then for the Sunday night game, we got the Bills hosting the Steelers. Offensively, Steelers 7th, Bills 8th. Defensively, Steelers number 1, Buffalo 18th. Thought they'd be better than that this year. Joe Hayden questionable. The kicker questionable. Dupree out for the season. Connor had the cooties. Their backup linebackers questionable. Bills got a few guys questionable. Nothing too serious. All right, so we got the Steelers at -7 +2 for their injuries. I got the Bills at -5.5 and -1 for being at home. My spread on the game are Bills by 1.5. Vegas opened up this game with the Bills as a 2.5 point dog. Now they're a 2.5 point favorite. Yeah, I'm really kind of surprised my numbers and Vegas' numbers were only off by a point. Just the way the Steelers have played all year, being dominant, and the way the Bills have started off the season hot and then got kind of inconsistent, but been playing pretty well recently. I thought the Steelers would definitely be favored in this game, but with that loss to Dupree, I mean, that is huge. This is a big matchup right here. This is going to be a good litmus test for the Steelers to see how they look after that loss with Dupree, because even though it's just one player, it seems like it completely changes the dynamic of that defense, which completely changes the dynamic of that team. It has to be the single biggest loss this year other than a quarterback. So I'm going to stay off this game. I'm not taking the Bills in this spot. Yeah, I don't know what to expect from the Steelers right now, so just staying off this one. Definitely going to be a good game. I'm excited for this one. And the Monday night game, the Browns hosting the Ravens. Both teams are pretty mediocre on offense, even though they have good rushing offenses. Defensively, the Ravens are 3rd in the league in score, 5th in yards per play. Browns are near the bottom. They're 14th in yards per play. Des Bryant's questionable. That's too bad. RG3's on the IR. What a surprise. Bunch of players questionable for the Ravens. Ward is still out for the Browns. Browns are pretty healthy for the most part. All right, so I got the Ravens at -6, +1 for their injuries, +1 for coming off a short week and just a crazy schedule. The Browns, I got a -1.5, -1 for being at home, +0.5 point for their injuries. My spread on the game are Ravens by 2. Vegas opened up this game with Ravens by 3. Now it's at -1. I can't believe my numbers are close on this game either. I think me and Vegas are on the same page, whereas we think the Browns are a good team, but they're not better than some of these other teams at the top. And even though I have the Ravens, a lot higher in the power rankings than the Browns, due to all the circumstances involved, yeah, I'm kind of surprised my number landed, only a point off. For me, with everything going on with this, Baltimore is just a better team. I think Baker has been playing a little bit better than Lamar Jackson as of late, so it's easy to see like, oh, the Browns look pretty good. But the Ravens defense is amazing, and the Browns defense is a liability. Myles Garrett isn't out there making plays and shutting stuff down. They just don't really have a whole lot. Getting Chubb back in there, the Browns have definitely looked a lot better, especially with being able to go back and forth with Chubb and Hunt. I mean, this game's basically a pick'em. Ravens are definitely a better team. It sucks they're coming off a short week, but if anything I've learned in my gambling career, bet against the Browns in important games. All right, so here are some of the games that I'm looking at for this upcoming week. Again, lots of favorites. Bears are my only underdog on there, and I'm probably going to get rid of them. Definitely leave me your picks this week in the comments section. All right, y'all, that's it for the NFL. Let's go ahead and take a look at these college lines. All right, I went 1-2 last week in college to keep up my losing streak. And again, the Buckeyes, the only team I could trust. So now I'm 18-32-1 in NCAA. I should probably stop now. Good thing I hit that Biden bet. Arizona State's 11.5 point favorite over Arizona. Georgia is a 13-point favorite over Missouri. Oklahoma's a 14-point favorite over West Virginia. Nebraska's laying 10.5 over Minnesota. Northwestern's a 2-touchdown favorite over Illinois. Colorado is a 2-point favorite over Utah. Again, I got scared and didn't bet on Alabama last week, and they still covered their 30-point spread. Now they're a 31.5-point spread over Arkansas. Might as well just take Bama. Them and the Buckeyes, the only team I can really trust in covering these monster spreads. DeU is a 3-point favorite over North Carolina. Iowa is a 1-point underdog hosting Wisconsin. I think I'm going to fire on Iowa in this one. They lost their first 2 games of the season. They've won 5 straight. Wisconsin just kind of looks shaky this year. They haven't played and practiced a lot. Penn State's a 2-touchdown favorite over Michigan State. Why is Penn State a favorite over anybody? Probably should take Michigan State, but God, they're awful too. Memphis is a 5-point dog to Houston. Oregon is a 6-point favorite over Washington. Both teams lost last week. I'm inclined to take Washington here, just getting those points. I feel like they could win. Oregon is not as good as maybe people thought they were going to be this year. I think I'm going to take Washington. Florida State is a 5-point favorite over Duke. Florida is a 23-point favorite over LSU. What happened to LSU this year? Holy moly. Baylor's getting about 5.5, 6 points at home against Oklahoma State. Mississippi State is plus 6.5 against Auburn. Man, I really want to take Auburn in this position. Still don't trust Bo Nix. USC is a 2.5-point favorite over UCLA. I was really hoping to take UCLA in this spot, and this line actually opened up at plus 6. I think UCLA is a little bit better than they have been in the past. They used to just be a doormat that teams just run for 300 yards over all over the time. Been playing better this year. But now with the line under a field goal, I mean, USC by 2.5, that sounds pretty much right. Probably going to stay off on this. Virginia Tech is a 2.5-point favorite over Virginia. And Oregon State is catching a field goal at home against Stanford. Stanford is not the team it used to be in the past. Neither is Oregon State. Oregon State's covered like the last 4 or 5 games in a row. They're definitely better than they used to be in the past. I think this game could go either way, so I'll definitely take the Beavers getting the points. And wait, where's this Ohio State-Michigan game at? Oh, that's right. Michigan backed out. Apparently, a bunch of people on their team all of a sudden get COVID right before they're about to get their annual ass kicking by Ohio State. And it just so happens they can't play now. Listen, I want to see evidence of these positive COVID tests because I'm not going to put it past Michigan to go ahead and try to ruin Ohio State's title chances by not giving them the minimum number of games required. But guess what? Bosses make boss moves, and of course the Big Ten is going to amend their rule to help Ohio State get into the playoffs. Just let us know who your new coach is going to be next year. All right, y'all, that's it for college football and for Throwdown Thursday. Doesn't seem like there's any random celebrity boxing or golf or anything going on this time. NBA will be starting up here soon. We'll definitely be covering some of that stuff. But yeah, still on a mission to get above 500 in the NFL. I've given up on NCAA football. I'm just trying to pick games where I see them. May the gambling gods bless your picks this weekend, and have a good one, y'all.